Hi, my name's Martin, and I'm not entirely sure why I've decided to make this video. Probably because I've just been speaking to a girl. She's quite young, I think she's 22. She's got problems with her skin, more acne than anything else, but some type of skin problem that's given her a lot of anxiety. And I know this is probably one of the most crippling things that you can get. Obviously, there are a lot more life-threatening illnesses that some people are unfortunate enough to deal with in their life. But somebody who's gone through a lot when it comes to skin problems, eczema, anxiety, not liking the way you look, the way I was. Um, these are really, really upsetting things that can completely destroy your life if you don't not only learn how to cope with it, but learn to try and recognize what's actually causing it in the first place, and how you overcome it is different for everybody. But I want to try and maybe share a few things to help other people. I'm not gonna at the very end of the video say, right, here's where you sign up and here's where you like pay me money to get a product that won't work. I'm literally just doing this because I feel like I've gone through a lot and I've learned a lot, and I would love to be able to help somebody who's currently going through a horrible situation and feels like nobody else understands what they're going through because I remember it well. So if there's even like a few people where I can say a few things that might actually help, great. That's why I'm doing this. Um, I hadn't planned to do this up until about 20 minutes ago. I just suddenly decided, you know what? There are definitely people out there who would benefit from some of the things I'd be able to tell them. Some people might not, but hey, that's how it goes. Um, so when I was younger, I grew up. I had like asthma when I was younger, but it was never too bad. But around the age of about 15, my skin started getting quite bad, and I didn't really have acne that bad. It was more dry skin, so like eczema, and I was very skinny. Didn't like the way I looked when I was younger. I had a lot of personality, had a lot of friends, good sense of humor, which tells you what you need to know already. That people will be attracted to your energy. This is the quick thing and the easiest thing to learn. One of the first things that if you can master this, when people meet a new person, the first thing they notice about them is how they look and how they sound, their voice and mannerisms, and then they build a construct about who that is. Now, gradually over time, after about the second, third, fourth time you meet someone again, they could have a really drastically different haircut, their skin could be terrible. You don't care at that point because you are aware of who they are as a person, you're aware of their energy, and you either like them because you connect with them or you don't. And it's a lot easier to be said than done. But if you can figure that out and realize that basically everybody is going through the same thing, everybody's battling their own demons, Sorry, forgot how to talk. Everyone's battling their own demons. Everybody's going through something, and people are too busy worrying about their own insecurities to notice yours. And the quicker you realize that, the quicker you can just let like confidence and sense of humor and kindness like shine more than anything else, because people will notice that a lot more than like superficial stuff that honestly doesn't matter. Now, that is easier said than done, and it's taken me like 20 years to figure that out, but this is what happened to me. So when I was about 15, 16, I had a lot of problems with eczema, asthma, allergies. I got really bad conjunctivitis. My eyes were in absolute state. They used to be just streaming. I was in agony. I looked about 100 years old when I was doing my A levels. I missed the last half of that as well. My A levels, I still managed to do okay. And then I went to work in a bar where this is back when people were smoking in bars, and I used to like relieve myself with the steam when you open up the glass washers, because that was the only thing that would kind of keep my eyes feeling like, almost hydrated, but it doesn't really solve the problem. And yeah, the amount of issues I had was so bad, and I was quite a popular guy. I had a lot of good friends and hung out with some cool people, and I just learned to cope. So a few months later, I started working in a nightclub, and a lot of smoke back then. didn't really look after myself, didn't really eat very well, and did drink a fair amount. These things contribute massively as well. But I was very, very self conscious, but at the same time, still had this other life where I had my moments of confidence, and I made a lot of friends. Still dated women, had some great times, but I'd say 90% of the time I was in like a crippling state where I couldn't function, because I was so anxious and scared with how I looked and didn't like it, and felt very conscious to be around new people or be out because I felt like people would be looking at me and judging me. And there was like two faces. There was like when I felt happy, when I felt comfortable with the way I looked and who I was, and then when I wasn't. And if I wasn't, I'd literally just shut down. I wouldn't even be able to function. Now, when I used to work in a nightclub in Brannigan's, I used to come home 2 o'clock every morning, scratching myself to death, literally in agony, and my friend would see it. And there are certain people that you get close to as friends that you'd allow to see like that, which is nice because then you can just relax and just be yourself around them. But the rest of the world, it's almost like you've got a mask where you have to be an acceptable person before you allow people to see you. And this is not just a physical thing, but it's a mental thing, and that's a massive barrier that you need to learn how to overcome. Now, this carried on. I'd have my good times and bad times. It would fluctuate. But when I was about 22, 23, I think, 23 years old, I went into cardiac arrest from an asthma attack where I was just drinking lots and not really looking after myself. And I nearly died. I was dead for about 5 minutes. They brought me back. Now, they pumped me full of steroids, the anti-inflammatory kind, so like prednisone, and it completely like rejuvenated me, made me look amazing. I like felt healthy and happy for the first time in a long time, and I felt very confident. And when I came out of hospital, I convinced the doctors that they should continue to let me have them. Now, this point, I was weighing up quality of life. I was thinking, well, at the age of 40, I could get knocked down by a bus. I might not even, live to be like older. And I know the side effects of steroids are that it fucks up your bones, it messes with your system. It is just not good. But right then, quality of life, I was weighing up the fact that 95% of all bad, scary illnesses come from stress. This stuff was able to give me a bit of breathing space, and it gave me a life. And I started getting beautiful girlfriends, and started doing stand-up comedy and things like that, which I'd never done before, because I grew into myself. I felt more confident, and there was still that other aspect of me there, but it was much more under control. Now, eventually, quite a long eventually, after about another 5, 6, 7 years of doing this, the side effects have started to heavily outweigh the benefits, and actually they caused the problems they were resolving in the first place. So it's not a solution, and nobody should do it. Trust me. I'm not going to judge anyone that does do what they do. I made a decision, and everyone's got to make their own mind up about what to do. But it got to a point where just before I was 30, where I was like, I need to come off this. Now, got my asthma under control, went to a specialist. And I need to point out, by this point, I had done everything there was. I'd been to see all kinds of doctors, all kinds of specialists, homeopaths, Chinese medicine, diets, intolerances, all this shit. But it might work for some people, but it's that element of placebo effect where it's not really addressing the issue, and the issue is usually the fact that you don't like looking in the mirror, and you need to learn to actually accept that you're a pretty awesome person and people like you for the reason that they like you, which has got nothing to do with your skin or how you look. Now, when I did go to see the specialist, eventually got my asthma under control, started weaning off them, and they checked my adrenal glands, and they said your adrenal glands are not in good shape. Now, this time I started to do, a friend of mine is a personal trainer. I started to do metabolic workouts 3 times a day, just because I wanted to. I wanted to start looking after myself more. And I always drank a lot of water, but I think you could almost drink too much water. Your body starts losing other nutrients. So try and drink, other things occasionally, but drink a lot of water. And around the same time that this was happening, I kind of discovered something that I'd always noticed in the back of my mind. Now, I used to be a big fan of baths, like hot baths. That was my haven when I was going through all these horrible periods in my late teens and early 20s. I would spend days in the bath, just like, because the hot water is very relieving and comforting. But in the back of my mind, I always knew it's not very good for you. It doesn't help you at all. Um, and one day I discovered the benefits of cold showers. And I'd read a lot about this, that celebrities used to do this, people like Marilyn Monroe and sports stars, they do this after they've had big games, it helps with muscle recovery and things like that. But there's a lot to do with your metabolism and how your skin works that I've noticed cold showers, cold water is massive. Hot weather is good for you. Cold weather is generally bad for you, but hot water, in my experience, not good for you if you've got bad skin problems. Cold water is amazing. Now, I've been doing the cold shower thing for 2.5 years now, and I've had basically about a 98% recovery and cure, and I've had no issues at all. I've had a good life for the last sort of decade or so, but the last few years, I basically have no problems at all. And if I do get a little bit of dry skin here and there, or if I start to like, feel a bit run down, it's just your body telling you to, stop burning the candle at both ends, start looking after yourself, get some sleep. But the biggest thing is I no longer have that anxiety. I no longer care to the point where I feel paralyzed about how I look and whether or not other people are judging me. Now, a lot of people at this point in the video, if you're not familiar with like these kinds of problems, if you've been blessed with good skin and a nice easy life where you don't have to deal with this kind of thing, might be like, oh, there's a lot of vanity involved in these issues. You're being, this is all you're caring too much about the way you look. It isn't that. It's not a vanity thing. It's not wanting to be attractive or looking better than other people. It's wanting to look comfortable, almost to the point where people don't notice you, where you can just be in a big crowd of people and people won't be like looking at you because your skin's so bad or you look so old and tired and haggard. And this is what happens when you get too much stress and when you have all these skin problems. They just destroy you. It's not just the actual problem itself, it's what it does to you. I have been through it more than more than a lot of people, and miraculously, whether it's a combination of just growing up, a bit of placebo, or a bit of everything, I've managed to sort of come through to the other side, and I feel very good. And I've had a very good life the last few years. I finally got a good job. I've been doing stand up comedy for the last 6 years, and I like the way I look now. I'm not your typical guy. I'm not like a lot of guys. I can't do the geezer thing with the bald heads and the drinking pints, but I like who I am. I've got a silly sense of humour, and I run in now. I just did a half marathon. I used to play basketball all the time, and it's good to have all these different outlets for who you are as a person. But this one area of my life, I've almost forgotten about because I've overcome so much. Now, every single time, like I said, that I go to see a new specialist or see a new uh, diet where you cut this out, or I'd read a book that said, oh, how to do this, I'd be like, please let this be the one. Like there was just literally a switch that you could flip, and then you'd be a normal, healthy person. It doesn't work like that for most people. You have to pay attention to the things that make you sick, the things that make you healthy, and you have to create a storyline, like an arc where you are overcoming something to the point where that your brain believes you have made the necessary changes to then just leave it behind and then like go to that next level. And I know what I'm telling you now, 14 minutes of just hysterical rambling, isn't necessarily going to help a lot of you. You might be like, well, what are you talking about? But hopefully, some of the stuff I've said might resonate with some of you. Um, you just have to pay attention to what's going on. You are going to have some issues with it if it's something that is quite serious and quite severe. It's not something that just disappears overnight, but it's a process. It's just growing up. You learn how to deal with it, and the biggest way you learn how to deal with it is to accept it. I used to, you know, do a lot with like creams and sometimes even like concealers, like makeups to like make it not look as bad as it was. And I had such a strict idea in my head about how I looked, had to look with my hair and clothes I wore, and had a very particular identity that I stuck to, and it was very strong and powerful. People knew me as this way. You know, ex-girlfriends would joke, "Oh, I'm only with you because of your hair," or when I've done comedy, people will go, "Oh, there's that guy, the one who looks like Morrissey." Um, but that identity that I've created has come out of so much insecurity, where I've actually tried to create this person. And the worrying thing is, what used to happen was there was two people. There was the person that I'd show everyone else, and then there was the person who would just relax and walk in the door and just be scratching already, because I'll just, feel almost like two people. There's the side that you show the world to, and then there's the side that's you. And the more you can let friends, partners, like, into your world and see you at your worst and not looking your best, that's a healthy thing. Like, it might terrify you at first, but in order to be comfortable around people when you look like absolute dog shit, it's brilliant, because no one cares. Like, no, like, how many of your friends that you've known for years and years and years, when you hang out with them, you don't even look at them. You're just talking to each other and you're not even looking in their eyes. If your friend could have a new haircut, or they could look terrible, you don't care. They're them. They're the person, the energy that makes up who they are. You don't care about that sort of stuff. And no one else does. I mean, some judgmental people do, but I mean, I think that kind of plays out after, like, school and stuff like that. If you're confident and you show crazy, like, charisma, people won't question it. They'll just be like, "Oh, wow, you'll just inspire other people to be like that as well." So, um, yeah, a lot of rambling about nothing in particular. But for anybody who's suffering massively right now with skin problems or anything like that, and you don't like the way you look, just hang in there. Accept it. Like, learn to get through life. Um, just have faith that you will come through the other side. And it sounds dramatic. I know there are people out there that are dealing with cancer and terminal illness, and by comparison, this stuff sounds absolutely ridiculous. I know that, but what it does to you in your head is, it's on a par with depression of the worst kind. So, um, yeah, I mean, chances are, if you're still watching this video 17 and a half minutes in, you're here for a reason, because you've tried every single thing there is. Um, Give the cold shower thing a try, seriously. If you struggle with eczema, do not bathe yourself continuously in steaming hot water. It will not help you. It might relieve the symptoms initially, but it won't help you at all. It will just irritate it more and more and more. The further away you get from nature, and by nature I don't mean like lying around in the woods, but the further away you get from, like, just functioning with normal water, and you need air, as they say, it's air, exercise, water, and I can't remember the fourth one, but you need to just function as a person. Don't sit there feeling so anxious that you don't go out and you don't spend time. But get out, like, go to work, go out, enjoy things with your friends. Don't sit around and hide from the world because you don't like the way you look. The quicker you forget about it, the quicker it goes away. The more power you give it, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It is like a tumor, and the more you acknowledge it, the more it's going to ruin your life. The quicker, you ever notice that with a cold, if you just, like, get on with your day and you go off and you do things, like, it basically disappears because you forget that it's there. Your body forgets that it's there and it's able to fight it off. If you give it power and strength by making it the thing that you focus on, kind of like that. Don't think about elephants. Don't think about elephants. What are you thinking about now? The more you do that, the more you give that power over you. Um, so you just have to just go, yeah, now going back a year or two, like, if I've got out of the shower and I've got a bit of dry skin, I go, okay, whatever. And I'll go drink some water, go after work. An hour later, it'll be gone because I haven't gone, oh my God, I need to get rid of this before somebody sees it. It's a strange, strange thing. And I know a lot of people go through this, and I can't even begin to explain how bad it used to paralyze me, and how it would make me an angry, horrible person. I would take it out on people I loved and friends because I was so upset and didn't like who I was. But, you know, fast forward 10 years, I've gone through illness, bankruptcy, all kinds of stuff, the usual, generic stuff, heartbreak and breakups and all kinds of things. But Like health, it's a state of mind. You learn how to enjoy yourself. You learn how to gravitate towards more of what you enjoy, in work and people you spend time with, people you avoid. Just get rid of toxic, negative people. I know that's easy to say, but trust me, the more you put yourself in the right place, you'll see massive benefits from it. And even things like keeping your room tidy. This is funny because this is what I've been doing this afternoon before I decided to make this video. I've been tidying up my room. Do you ever clean your room or your area that you're around and immediately you just feel that you can breathe easier and you feel that kind of feng shui effect? It's like an outside personification of your mind. Like, I believe that's actually true. I haven't practiced it ever, and I still not practicing it now. But even with people who hoard too much, like get rid of books, get rid of DVDs, get rid of clothes that you don't use, all these things. You don't need all this clutter because it just drowns you gradually. So I'm not saying become a minimalist, but yeah, learn to function with things that you need. And that saying, what you've probably heard, where if you make more space in your life by getting rid of old stuff, what you're doing is you're making room for new stuff. And I 100% believe that. Last thing, I don't know, last thing I like to say about is visualizing, like positive thinking. Yeah, it gets a lot of labels where people kind of dismiss it as just wishy-washy nonsense. And some things do go away that way. If you think about like The Secret, the way Americans have kind of taken it a little bit too far with like, yes, I'd just like a Ferrari to pull up in my driveway with $1 million. That's obviously not going to happen without some serious hard work. But little things like the way that works with The Secret, if you vibrate at a certain frequency and you give off certain energy, you will meet certain types of people. If I'm honest with myself about the last 10 years of my life, every single thing I've wanted to have happen has happened. If I wanted to meet a certain type of person, if I wanted to have a certain type of relationship, find a certain type of job, go to certain places, all these things have happened, and not in like a um like miracle kind of way, but in this just naturally evolving kind of way. You put this out to the universe, it will actually happen. And I'm not one of these people that makes these videos normally. I usually see people like this and think, oh my God, but I just felt like sharing this because I know there are a lot of people out there that suffer with this kind of thing. And as I say, it's going to be different for you, it'll be different for everyone. Everyone learns and matures at different like speeds, different pace, but it's all about self-awareness. And sometimes when you're younger, you can be too self-aware and you don't know how to handle it. Growing up is learning how to channel and deal with that self-awareness. So I'm going to cut it short there at a very short 23 minutes. This hasn't truthfully been the purpose of being self-indulgent. I'm not here to, celebrate my life or go on about these things. I generally just want to try and help somebody out there who's miserable right now because they're dealing with this. So if you do want to sort of get in touch or contact me, I'm on Twitter as a very sarcastic Englishman, Hurley underscore Burley. So that's HURLY underscore BURLY. I realise the irony that I've just said I'm not being self-indulgent and then I've just given you my Twitter handle. But, if you want to comment, I'll probably put this up on YouTube or feel free to contact me on there. But all narcissistic tendencies aside, I am generally doing this because it would be amazing if I could just like help someone. So have a great day. Nothing too spiritual, just go and enjoy yourself. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thank you.